Alrighty, welcome back. We are back again for another new quilt that we're starting called My Stars and Stripes. It is the 250th anniversary of the Americas, the United States, and this was my version of the pattern that I wanted to do for that commemoration, and I can't wait to get mine done so I can put it on my bed. It's not going to be super wide. It's only about 72 inches wide. And of course, you can always make it wider by adding bigger borders. So it's about 72 inches by about 82 inches, if I remember correctly, which should be on the paperwork. You should be able to buy the full pattern on Etsy, or if you are in my email list, then you get this for free, but you don't get but one part of each of the sections at a time. So each week when I send you an email, you get another part of it, but it comes to you without having to go into Etsy. But if you go on the Etsy, you should be able to get the full pattern. If the full pattern is not there, I will release the next pages each week, and you can re-download those missing pages. So it's just something I want to try new. Normally, I don't even put up the full pattern until after the whole thing is done. But we'll see how it goes. And if you did have to go in and update, you shouldn't have to pay to re-download it. It's a one-time fee, but you can go back in and update whatever else is put in there. Okay, so for those of you who have just joined, let's see. Yes, I have many of the Hascore done. All right, Sharon, great, great. All right, and so, okay. So for those of you who have just joined, the quilt behind me is the baby quilt I'm making for my fourth grandbaby, who is on the way. I don't actually know how many months she has more. Mom's pretty much seen most of this because I showed her the fabric, and I think I showed her one of the patterns. So this is not necessarily a surprise, so I didn't mind putting it on video like this. So I'm going to take this with me when I go to the baby shower, which is coming up very, very soon. All right, now let me go ahead and take that down, and it's going to reveal the quilt that we are starting on today. Okay, so this is just a very small portion of it. Those big circular stars you see back here, over here, those are 16-inch, 16-inch blocks. Those stars are huge, and I cannot wait. I started it on a while ago, but I haven't gotten very far because I was working on the last quilt very diligently. And I know some of you have finished it. This one is actually Sheila's. She finished up the testing for it. And when she showed it to me, I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And she's like, wait a minute, that's my quilt, not yours. And I'm like, nope, no problem. I knew that. I'm just so grateful to see it in a portion of its completed form. And so the lettering that you see over here is, it's a script lettering that I used to write out the Pledge of Allegiance, and I loaded it into an HQF file. And for anyone who's doing this quilt and they want their long armor to put that on their quilt, I'll be happy to give you the pattern or download it or send it to you or whatever you need to do. You can just let me know. And of course, if you want to send it to me, I'm more than happy to do it for you as well. All right, so let's get started. Let's take a look at my tabletop and see what I have down here. Does anybody, oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. A few little bumpies, belches, I guess. So, does anybody have any questions right now? I'll give you just a quick second while I take a sip of soda. I notice I get pretty dry as much as I talk. I'm not sure if that helped or hurt. Okay, so the biggest thing is going to be the half square triangles. With the half square triangles, we have 320 of these half square triangles. And if you look, it says right here, 2-inch finished size. So if you look here at the top, if you're going to do the 2 at a time, you're going to need the 2 7/8, and that will make 2 at a time. And then it'll finish it at 2.5, sewn size 2.5, and then the finish is 2. I love triangulations because this does 12 of them at a time. So here's where it starts out. When I start with it, I have these papers all cut or all printed out. Then I cut, excuse me, I cut out the boxes, but I leave a little bit of space all the way around. And that's what this one looks like. As you can see, I've left myself just a little bit of extra room here. And when I cut my fabric, because it tells you right here that it's 5 3/4 by 8 5/8. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. And so what I do is I cut my fabric 6 by 10 inches. I'm sorry, 6 by 9 inches. But it's okay because that's very, very narrow. If you look, it doesn't leave much room. So if you did 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, I think you'd be okay. I think that would help you a lot. And so here are my 2 fabrics. Okay. And one of the things I do is I set it up like this. My two pieces are not the same length, so I put my longest one on the bottom, right side up. I take my second color, which is the blue. So this is a cream color. I did it in grunge because I love the way that the grunge is going to look with this flag quilt, because it's going to make it look like it's older, like it's been well worn, well used, and I just love the idea of that. And then I take this one, I take it right sides together. Take my paper and make sure that my square stays within my blue border. Okay? Take a couple of my pins, and I'm careful about pinning it. And I don't pin it too much because even though I don't want it to shift, and more pins would help with that, I also don't want to put a lot of pins in it because then it starts to pucker the fabric, and I still feel like you're going to wind up misaligning something. So I usually just put a couple pins in it, just enough to keep the paper where I want it to stay, and I leave it on. And these lines right here, these dotted lines, are where you're going to be sewing. So I just make sure my pins are out of the way of the dotted lines. Okay? Now, let's take this over here. Show people where they can get triangulations there. It should be, I thought I had a copy of it. Hang on, let me put this in here. Let's see. Bear Paw Productions.com. Let's see if that pops up. And that, yep, there it is. Okay, so there's the that should take you straight to Bear Paw Productions, and the triangulations should be in there. And the neat thing about that is this one actually this one is set for the 1/2 inch. Everything 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. Might be the 1/4 inch. Might be the 1/4 inch. So everything is set up at a 1/4 inch. So if you need, a half square triangle that's 2 3/4, or 3 or 2 1/4. You know, something that's kind of like the offside, you've got that. This one is for that. But there's also a section that has the 1/16 of an inch. So you should be able to get it down to the 1/16 of an inch. So if you need a 2 1/16 of an inch, you can get it to one, and you still don't have to cut them down after you're done. When you take the papers off and you fold it out, your piece should be like 2 1/16 of an inch. She has a lot of really cool uh, uh, triangulations like this. I'm lacking, for lack of a better word, but where the papers will show you exactly how to do like a goose track of like 3 goose tracks together, and it's so easy, so simple. It keeps it so straight and on mark. But there are other ones in there as well, not just the triangulations, not just the goose tracks. There's some other stuff in there too. I pulled it down off my computer so it's not up, otherwise I would tell you exactly what's there. Okay, so that link is in there. Please feel free. Yes, yep, you're right. Quarter square triangles as well. I used that one too. That came in mighty handy. All right, let's go over here. See if I can get my mouse to go to where I want it to go. There we go. And we're going to bring that up just a little bit. I was trying to put it to not show off my belly quite as much as I usually do. All right, now here's one of the tricks to this. This is where this comes in really, really handy, but you have to do it. Set your stitch length for 1. Set it for 1. Normally we do 2.5 or 2, sometimes even 3. You want this on 1. All right, so if you see there's an arrow right there that shows a direction, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start at this end, and we're going to follow the arrows all the way down and around, and then all the way back until we come back to the beginning. Now, some of these, there's so many of them that when you start it, you may have to take the needle off and start in a different spot. That's no big deal. That is nothing, especially when you compare that to what you go through to try to make 320 half square triangles. Absolutely love this. It comes as a download, so you download it to your computer, and you can always pull it up. I have mine listed under triangulations. I use it so much that it automatically pops up in my most recent files. All right. And I love my PQ 1500 because it just whizzes right through this. And all you need to do is let the feed dogs do the job and just guide it in and make sure you're watching just ahead of it so you know which way it's going. Let me get my glasses on. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. All right, ready, here we go. You don't need to push it or pull it. Just let it guide it in, and use your fingers to make sure that the fabric or the paper itself doesn't slide around. Put your foot up, keep your needle down so you can turn it. You do have to watch once in a while. It can get caught on something. Like I've got the camera back there, and it tends to get caught on the camera. Go all the way down. Find the next arrow, which is right here. Okay, so we're going to turn it. We're going to keep following it around. I did a Saturday class just to show how to do this and how to make your own light box. That way, if you needed a light box to be able to see where you're lining everything up, then you didn't have to buy a really expensive one. You could just make yourself a light box from parts from Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree. And again, you're just watching it, trying to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Don't need to push it or pull it. Let the feed dogs do all the work. Go as slow as you need to. If you need to go slower so you don't make any mistakes, because I do make mistakes, things get off a little bit. Go as slow as you need to, but that 1 inch, that one in the seam, in the stitching is what's going to cause that perforation to make pulling these out a breeze. We're going to go back to the other camera, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. That gives us all of the stitching all the way around. All right, so as you see, I stitched down, I followed the lines all the way around. Crossed here all the way back up. And then all the way down again, all the way to the end. And then cut it off there. Now, we're going to do some fancy footwork here. I use regular copy paper. Sheila likes Carol Doak's foundation piecing, and I do too. Mine's buried somewhere, and I have no idea where I put it. And so for 320 of these, and by the way, just so you know, you will find this particular one on page 22 of the triangulations. Just make sure you're looking for the 2.5 with 2-inch finish. But I just use regular copy paper. Just remember that when you're done doing this, throw the needle out. You know, put it in your sharps, put it in your pill bottle, whatever you use needles in, and put a new needle in, because you're definitely going to wear it out. You're going to wear it out anyways by doing this, but at least you'll know that you've got a fresh needle in there, especially after pounding it through that paper. Okay, I'm going to move some stuff because I want to turn my table a few times. And then I'm going to show you, because I like AccuQuilt, so I use my AccuQuilt a lot. And I do have the AccuQuilt dies that will work for this. If you have AccuQuilt and you have some of the square dies, you are going to love this. Okay, got to give myself a little space here. So if you have a turntable like this one, these things come in real handy, especially for this. Okay. So we're going to put this here to here and make one cut. Keep it together. I've got my hand on the paper and on the ruler. Now, if you wanted to be sure, once you make these cuts, you can pull this apart and keep cutting it. But I just keep going cutting. And once you get that part cut, because these are the important ones, the cuts we just made are the important ones. These are the ones going to set your border for the outside of this little piece. Okay, and that's why you want to make sure those cuts are the best. These, it doesn't matter so much, because this is just the backside that's going to get hidden. If it gets a little bit off, you're cool. Don't worry about it. And if you have to rip apart for any reason, seam rip, my opinion, don't. Just redo another section. Because that one stitch length is nearly impossible to get out. I don't care what kind of seam ripper you have. You're going to only frustrate yourself and everyone else in the room because they're going to hear you cussing. This is why I like this kind of turntable. All right, so here we have them. Thank you, Nicole. So my next thing I do is I do my dog ears. Just grab a pair of scissors, grab this. Now you could do it with your rotary, or no big deal, but you know what, there's just something satisfying about trimming it off and watching it land inside of, you guessed it, this is the thread catcher that we just did a little while ago. It has the box corners on the bottom. So instead of, just being able to use it as a pincushion slash thread catcher, I can also use it as a little trash can. And I love that it stands up on its own. I'll to do this trim. Watch it fly in. If you're not careful, which I have done, it'll fly everywhere. So I cut kind of close to the box, to the trash can part of it. All right. Yep, see, that one went flying. All right, so once you get those done, we're going to set these off to the side. Anybody have any questions? Please feel free to ask any questions you may have. Now, once you do that, the next thing you can do is take all these squares when you're done and just put them in your lap, watch TV, because this next part requires little to no thought. As long as you've used that one stitch length, the next part is easy. You're just going to pull it off, just like that. Set it off to the side, and do the next one. See how easy that is? I love this part because it takes no brain power. None. None. Of course, there wasn't one day where I was pulling the papers off and throwing away the triangle and saving the papers. That was an interesting day. All right, that one's done. That one's done. See, I almost had to think about that one for a second. All right, now once you're done with that, you do not need to iron these open because of the way they're going to go on, because of the way they're going to be stitched together. You can just iron this to the dark side. And just go ahead and do them all like that. Take your wood iron, take your regular little baby iron, whatever you got, and just iron. Now don't pull too hard because you don't want to distort it. But if you look, you should end up with a perfect 2.5 inch half square triangle. And you saw that it took literally no time at all. Hang on. To make a 2.5 inch half square triangle. What am I caught on? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Just beautiful. Okay. All right. So that's the easy way to do the half square triangles. The 2.5 is nice, but you still have to trim it down. This is no extra trimming. You got your 2.5, and so you should be right on the money. Absolutely love it. If this is all you ever use the half square triangle program for, you've already made your money back on it. I think it runs just, I want to say it's just under $30. I don't know if I know for sure. I know Tina, I believe, yep, no squaring up needed. Tina, I believe, just bought hers the other day, and I think she told me hers was just under $30. I think I paid just under $40 for mine, but that was, oh my gosh, what, 3-4 years ago, Sheila? Wow, it was a while ago. All right, so let's talk about the red and the white. The red and the white is probably the easiest part of the whole thing. So you were told to get 2 yards of the red fabric and 2 yards, 3 yards actually, of the white fabric, because you need 1 yard to do this. And in fact, you may want to get a little extra just in case you make a mistake, because I think that's pretty, no, you should have plenty left over. 3 yards should be fine. It's the blue one that I worry about because we're going to talk about that next. All right, so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your 2 yards, cut your fabric in half into 2 1-yard cuts. Then you're going to cut across from the 36 inches. You're going to make 10 4.5 by 36 inch strips. And you need to do that from the yard that goes across. So at the 36 inches, you're going to cut across, okay? And you're going to need to do 10 of them, which means you're going to need to break into that other 1-yard cut piece. Then you're going to need, on the red one, the last piece you're going to need is a 2.5 by 36. So you're going to need 10 of the red in 2.5, I'm sorry, 10 of the red in 4.5 by 36 inch, 1 of the red in 2.5 by 36 inch, and then you're going to need 10 of the cream, which I don't actually have any right here in front of me, except for this one. Hang on, where did it go? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. So here's that cream color. You're going to need 10 in the, well, it's really not glittery, glossy, it's just the grunge fabric. It's my lights making it look a little glittery. 10 in the 4.5 by 36 inch. Same thing, you're going to need to cut across, and you're going to need to break into or cut into the other yard. So cut 1 yard section, cut 2 yard sections. You're going to have to. But again, all this is going to be in the instructions, which you either should already have, or you can go onto the Etsy site and buy the pattern, which should be available. And again, it'll either have updates or it'll be full. If it's not full, it will have updates every week so that you can go in and re-update what pages you don't have. And we should have this done in the next, no more than the next 4 weeks. That's my aim. Okay. Now the other thing we needed to talk about was, oh yes, AccuQuilt. AccuQuilt makes dies that are the full squares. The first one I'm going to tell you that you're going to want to either get or use is any of the dies that you have that are the 2.5 square. So this one does 9 of them at one time, because you're going to need a lot of, well, a few 2.5 inch squares. If I remember correctly, actually I think I left my instructions on there. You're going to need a few of them. I think there's at least 40 or 80 or I don't know, 160 or something like, I don't know. You have to look at the design. But you're going to need some 2.5 inch squares. And that is number 55059. 55059. That's the one I have. This one will work on the Go, and it'll work on the electric. Okay, it's not going to work on the baby AccuQuilt. Now this one will work on the baby AccuQuilt. This actually came out of a companion box that I have, and this one is die number 55708, and this does the 4.5 inch, and you need, I believe you need 40 of these, because there's 4 in each block, so you need 4 of those, okay? And then, oh, there's a 6 inch that I did not bring over here. Then you also need a 6 inch, and you'll need 10 of those. Those I know you need 10 because there's only one, and that's for the center. And hang on, let me go grab the 6-inch block over here. It's actually 6.5, but finished it's a 6-inch. Yep, here it is. It is die number 55000. And this is also a go die or the electric. So 55000, and it does a 6.5-inch square. It will make short work of cutting your fabric for you. You just want to make sure that when you are preparing or getting ready that you're trying to fit it in so that you're giving yourself as, little room as possible on the next cut, because you don't want to waste too much fabric. And that's what I hear a lot of people talk about, how it wastes a lot of fabric. You know what? After some of the marathon cuttings I do with rulers and stuff, I'm okay with wasting a little fabric. I'd rather buy a little extra just so I can put it through the electric AccuQuilt rather than trying to do it hunched over a table. Even when it's a taller cutting table, I still find that I have stress on my back and my shoulders. And as y'all know, I've had some dealings with my back that I don't want to deal with as little as possible. So the dies are a lifesaver. So you're going to be using these. And again, all the cutting instructions should be in the directions that I've already sent to you. Oh, yeah, stripology rulers, but still, you still got to hunch over that thing. So this, you just lay the fabric out on it and you just run it right through. I love that part. If mine ever goes out, I'm going to cry, because those things, my electric is so expensive. They were started out at $300 or $400, and now they're like $800. They've like more than doubled in the time that they've been around. Does anybody have any questions? Let me go grab the instructions just so I make sure I actually printed them out, even though I know I have a set. I printed them out and put them away somewhere. Somehow I managed to get extras out there. All right, so this is what it looks like. And this is what I'm going to be loading up to Etsy. And I even have the colors I used listed here from the grunge. And again, I would probably, if you think you're going to do the AccuQuilt, I would probably use a little extra yardage on that. And then it gives you how many squares. So the 6's, the 6.5, you're going to need 10, 4.5, 40. The 2.5 by 2.5, you need 160. That's quite a few. And then, of course, on the, you're going to need to do some single cuts. So you're going to have some 2.5 by 4.5 rectangles. You're going to need to cut some of those. All right, y'all, this has been fun. I am so glad we got a chance to do this right here on the live. Let me get this over here. And we're right at about 30 minutes. Ugh, my eyesight. All right, let's see here. All right, guys, we're coming down to it. Remember, work on this part first. Get this part. Well, actually, the first part you should get it done, are the 320 2.5 inch half square triangles. And I only emphasize that because, like I said, the first set I sent out, the first papers I sent out, I forgot to include the size. So make sure you just write in that they're the 2.5 unfinished, and that which turns out to be the 2-inch finished. Okay. When I went back in, I did fix that. So anybody that gets the pattern after this point, after I fixed it, you'll have the right sizes on there because it's listed in there. The very next thing you want to work on are the stars and stripes. And as you can see behind me, start with red. And what I did is I did sets at a time. So I did the red with cream, red with cream, red with cream, went all the way down, ironed them towards the red, and then went back and put a cream with the red, but what you should be thinking about is when you're doing the cream with the red, sew the opposite direction. So if you went this way to sew the red on, then sew this way to put the cream on. And if you don't worry about it. I just noticed that if you go opposites like that, then it tends to stay straighter. But if you sew them all the same way, you always start it like always on the left, then what happens is you kind of start to get a slant, which creates an unevenness with your rows. And I've done that a couple of times and realized how important it was just to do one direction one way and then one direction the other way, and so on and so forth. So if you do the red and the cream all in one direction, then when you're putting the cream on to the red, go the other direction. So the other direction, start on the right instead of the left. All right. Y'all, we're coming to the end. Any other questions? Comments? Better ways I could do this. This is the first time in a while that we have gone through and had the image right on the screen from the very start. Usually we do it as a mystery because I often feel like sometimes when you don't know what you're doing, when you're done, you've learned so much just from learning technique or color combination that when you're done, you're happily surprised. Or I've seen some that were a little bit disappointed. But I try to give you the best ideas, like, you need heavy contrast to make this work better, or things are going to meld a little better if you do it kind of close, So, but this one's easy. 3 colors, red, white, and blue. I think I found this in my bag of fabric. So maybe this is the color I decided on. You'd think my brain would remember. This, I think, might be the color I had decided on when I decided whether to do, what to do for the binding. Because I don't actually have plans to put a border on mine. But like I said, if you want to make it bigger, all you have to do is add borders. And you've got the whole red and white blue thing going on. You can't go wrong with that. So if you did a red, white, blue border all the way around it, I think you're golden. But this is what I found in my bag, and it looks like it might be about, because I think you can do about three quarters of an inch, three quarters of a yard, which, not sure that's what this is. Anyways, I think you're going to need about 3/4 of a yard. Let me see. Only if you want it to. Go ahead and take it. It's done. I'm done with it. Yeah, it says 3/4 yard for your binding fabric. But I think originally I was talking about doing a gray fabric, not a blue. I don't know. That's why I'm surprised to find this in my bag. I wonder if this was something else. I don't know. It's not the right size anyways. All right. Again, any questions? Linda at Bits and Pieces has... Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. So I set it up for the people who are local in Bradenton, Florida, who are local. Bits and Pieces. She's at 13th Street and 13th Avenue in Bradenton. She has a wonderful shop over there in the Village of the Arts. That's the area that she's in, and she is actually carrying the 3 grunge fabrics that are listed in the instructions. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, that was on the first page. So these are the colors right here on the end. And y'all, I'm backwards. It's so hard for me because when I look in the TV, of course, I'm backwards to everybody else. Anyway, so she is carrying them. She knows exactly what colors they are, but you will need to take the paper in because even though her and I have discussed how much yardage, she would prefer you come in and know exactly how much you want. So you have to tell her exactly how much you want. Don't rely on her to know how much fabric you need. So you definitely need these instructions. Okay. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Yes, Miss Linda's been absolutely wonderful. She has run out of the bolts like 2 or 3 times, and she's just gone in and reordered more. So I am thrilled to be able to partner with her so that she can do that, and you guys can go in and see her shop. She has a beautiful shop. I love going in there and shopping. And she has a classroom in the back that she will rent out. And it's also a very nice classroom, and she keeps it very well stocked. And she has a lot of nice things in there for you to see. So if you want to do a class and you have a small classroom size, maybe 6, 10 people at the most, she has classroom as well that you can set up in for a fee, of course. I'm just checking to see if there are any more questions. Okay, y'all, I believe we are up to prayer time, and we want to keep our ladies, all of our ladies, and any gentlemen, because believe it or not, we do have gentlemen in our guild. So we want to make sure we keep them all in prayer, pray for our nation. I just always feel like we're fixing to turn a corner, and I just hope the corner we turn is going to be to our best interest, because you just never know how things are going to go. Each day brings something new, and it's been that way for years now. And so we just need to keep everybody in prayer. Our government, our nation, our people. Father, I thank you for another beautiful day. Thank you for the rain that came, that washed away so much of the pollen and the things that were in the air. It's a refreshing, it's a renewing. Father, I just thank you for that. I give you all the honor for that. Father, I ask you to keep your healing touch flowing into the people of our community that so need a healing touch, that so need your love and your compassion. Father, let your light shine through all of us so that we can also reflect your love and your compassion and your care. Let your light shine. Let us be a guiding symbol of how much you love us, and let us love on each other. Father, I lift up the nation to you. You know what's right. You know where we need to go. Help guide our government, guide our communities, guide our states. Help them see the path that you want each of us to go. I just ask you to protect the people, Father. Help us keep our guardian angels on full alert. Father, I thank you and give you all the honor and all the glory. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. You guys have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your dinner tonight. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate all the encouragement, all the love, and all the things that you do to help keep me going. You don't know how much I appreciate each one of you. And I just thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you.